Looking to suspend the gas tax with prices continuing to hit record highs, but some economists warn it won't be enough. Brandon Arnold, Executive Vice President of the National Taxpayers Union, joining us this morning. Good morning to you, sir. We got Maryland, Connecticut, Georgia. They've all suspended the gas tax. How much will these suspensions really make a difference? And more importantly, how long can we expect these prices at the pump?
Yeah, these will help a little bit, but they're really Band-Aids on a much, much larger problem. And I get what governors are doing here because there's not a whole lot of tools that they can use right now to lower gas prices. But these temporary gas tax suspensions will drop prices a little bit, though not on a dollar-for-dollar basis, because some of these tax savings will be absorbed up the supply chain. And of course, eventually they're going to have to put these taxes back on the books. And when they do, they might have some angry voters and some angry drivers.
Yeah, no kidding. California right now, the highest gas prices in the country. As we know, they have not suspended the gas tax. Instead, the governor there wants to issue these debit cards. And you say this also won't work. Why not?
No, I put this in the category of a really, really bad idea. What they're talking about doing is giving each car, each driver, $400 to spend on gasoline. So, of course, what this is going to do is push up demand at a time when we're having major supply chain issues. Higher demand means higher prices. So this is making the problem worse. It's going to exacerbate inflation. It's going to exacerbate our gas price crisis right now. It's a horrible, horrible idea coming out of California.
The Biden administration has blamed the war, even oil companies, for these high prices. But we have seen prices going up incrementally since President Biden took office. We know he wanted to try and get rid of fossil fuels eventually. So let's talk about how much of this is tied to a lack of supply and why aren't we drilling more in the U.S.?
Yeah, I mean, this is the tried and true game plan from this administration, unfortunately. Point their fingers at somebody else. They did this a few weeks ago when they started blaming grocery stores on high food prices. These are global problems. They're supply chain problems that have been exacerbated by this administration's policies, whether you're talking about the Keystone pipeline cancellation, you're talking about canceling leases on public lands to drill more. They have been hostile to the oil and gas industry, and I get that from a political sense. But then when you look at the reality, people are dependent on gasoline to get to work, to get their kids to school. They're dependent on natural gas to heat their homes. And right now it's been absolutely backbreaking now that we have these global disruptions and these geopolitical concerns that are making things much, much worse.
The U.S. also is sending more oil to Europe to help break sort of this dependence on Russian oil and gas as quickly as possible. What will sending barrels of oil, though, and our resources to Europe do for the price of gas right here in the U.S.?
Well, this is one of the reasons why we should have been having more supply from the get-go, because we need to do things like this to stabilize Europe, to make sure they're not as dependent on Russian oil and gas as they were. That's why you want to have the additional supply, not just to keep gas prices here domestically, but to be a leader on a global sense and to make sure that our allies can act with the resolve that they need to push back on aggression, in this case from Russia. So we don't want to be dependent on countries like Russia, like unstable, unreliable regimes in the Middle East. That's why we need domestic production. And that's why these administration's policies thus far that have not emphasized doing that, in fact, have gone in the opposite direction, are now really hurting not just our country, but our allies in Europe right now.
Brandon Arnold, always great to see you. Thanks for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ahead this morning, the hot housing market was causing prices to skyrocket in certain cities.
Americans paid no income tax last year. The pandemic impact still being felt this morning, and what tax experts are predicting for this year. Next.